Also, everyone. Yes, I hope everyone's well. Very special guest today, Mr. Shihan Ritchie Saunders from Geelong in Victoria. Shihan Ritchie, good morning or good afternoon. How are you?
Patrick, how are you? I'm fine, thank you.
That's the way. Hey, thank you so much for jumping on here. We just had a brief chat, and I appreciate your time. And I guess for everyone out there, it's the 50th year for Shihan Ritchie in Kyokushin Karate. So congratulations, Shihan.
Of course, thank you.
How's it going?
Well, it's pretty frightening, really, because my first Kyokushin training session was 30th of March 1970. But I actually went into martial arts before that. I was in judo and jiu-jitsu for 2 years because my dad told me I was too young to do karate. So he said, I'll put you into the judo and jiu-jitsu area, and if you can stick it out for 2 years, then you can take up karate. Yeah, so the first actual class of karate was, Kyokushin was 30th of March 1970. It was a Monday night, 7 p.m. I can remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's 50 years later.
Oh. and who was teaching Kyokushin 50 years ago when the young Ritchie Saunders, Shihan, walked into the dojo there? Who was your mentor or sensei as such?
Well, back then, Patrick, Kyokushin was so young in Australia. I didn't really know anybody in there. You know, I quite often finished the judo or jiu-jitsu training, and I'd watch sections of the karate class until they'd come pick me up, take me home. But there were no real black belts there at that stage.
Sure.
So there was no real mentoring. It was, looking back on it now, it was very amateurish.
Yeah.
Then. And the people who were conducting classes were green belts, brown belts, and really I think they were just trying to find their way through the sessions.
Where was that? Where did you grow up? And
it's called the International School of Self-Defense. It was 48 Little Rory Street in Geelong.
In Geelong. So Geelong, for everyone out there, is a beautiful town or city as such, because it has almost nearly up to 200,000 people that live in there. It's about an hour out of Melbourne CBD. So Kyokushin has had a very strong upbringing, I guess, or I'm not trying to find the right word, but a very good, strong history out in Geelong. So you've had your taste of it, and I always ask this question because I like seeing people's answers. So when people then mention the founder or the master of Kyokushin, Sosai Masayama, what was your first take on that?
Again, because it was so far away, being in Japan, and obviously I hadn't been to Japan at that stage.
No.
And just knew about this huge man, if you wanted to call him that was sent across the bay to us, that, you know, what Masayama had achieved in his time, and how he'd gone off and created Kyokushin Karate. So he was a massive mentor for us, or a gauge, if you want to call it that, even though we hadn't even seen him.
So then, you know, you're training away. You would have, you know, you're in your teens or late teens.
I was 14 when I started karate. Yeah.
Right. So then you're pursuing it, you're loving it, and what makes you get that drive towards being possibly one of the first black belts out in that zone, that area?
Well, I think when I started training, there was no kids. I was the only one. There was no girls in the dojo. It was all men. One of the guys in the dojo was a guy named John Smink, who was an ex-RAAF boxing champion, probably a bloke about 6'3" and 110 kilos. One of the other blokes was a brown belt in there. His name was Roy West, who was an ex-AFL footballer. He played fullback for Geelong.
Yes.
So, being a little skinny 14-year-old kid, I copped a few floggings.
Yeah.
And a few times I walked out with tears in my eyes and was going to quit.
Yeah.
But the next day you go back to the dojo. And I remember it got to a point where at one stage I did actually quit. I said, this is it. There's no more for me. And I think that was a Monday night, and I was back in the training on Thursday. I've been there ever since.
How good's that? That's great. Yeah, look, that is, you know, it is overwhelming as such, and it still continues. I can't talk on behalf of everyone, but yeah, I let teens, I introduced them into our senior class at my dojo from 13, and give them the law of the land, and we obviously take very good care of them, but they are exposed to ex-AFL player, some law enforcement people, and so on and so forth, and it's it definitely gets them matured quickly.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Best thing ever for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like nowadays, your dojo is probably the same. We have a lot of ladies in training now. We've got a lot of kids ranging from 5 years old upwards. We have specialist classes for 5 to 10-year-olds.
Mm.
And coming from my background, young background in the dojo, and now seeing so many kids in training and ladies these days too, with the crime rate, what's going on out in the streets and so on.
Yeah.
The best thing ever for them, all of them.
So you break into your adult side of things there, and you would have commissioned your black belt, and then you would have been introduced to the lads in Melbourne. How was the relationship of the Shihan Eddie Emmons in Melbourne and so forth, and how you were doing it in Geelong?
Yeah, again, they were distant. We knew they were there. We saw Shihan Eddie every now and then. Ivan Zavachanos was a big driver of Kyokushin Karate back then as well. A little bit later came along Ray Doyle, Rick Toti, all of those guys. I don't know if Rick is still around these days. I don't know Ray Doyle is. I've been in contact with him a little bit over the last few years.
Cool.
So they were distant, but we knew they were there, and we knew that they were the bosses, basically.
Yeah. And so
ratings times, and that would be about it.
Yeah, the gradings, and then again, I guess your store. Can you remember your Shodan grading? Was it as they say, as tough as it was back then? With the the grading syllabus.
My Shodan grading was December 1976 in Ocean Grove. It was in a church hall that would have held about 50 people at the most.
Yeah.
It was about 36, 37 degrees.
Wow.
And back then, you were not allowed, you had no breaks, and you weren't allowed to take any drinks. Do you know John Pappas?
No.
John Pappas is one of the other Geelong blokes down here. He's a little bit older than me, probably about 4 or 5 years older than me.
Sure. And
we're doing the 40 fights, and they were 40 fights full on.
Yeah.
And got to about fight number 36, I think, and I lined up to change for the next fighter. And I looked outside, and there was a little girl standing there with a can of Coke and an orange ice pole. Going to kill someone by then, I can tell you that. And then it was Hutchie Taylor, or Shihan Taylor back then, was taking the grading. And on the 40th fight, it was me versus John Pappas, or vice versa. And we were told that whoever won that fight and was still standing at the end would get their black belt. Oh. So you can imagine how that one went.
Oh, wow. How cool is that? Yeah. And how'd it go?
Yeah, it was a tough day at the office, I can tell you that, Patrick.
Oh, very good. Hey, that's a good one. Yeah, last man standing gets it. Go for it, boys.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, obviously, we both got our black belt, but that's what they told us at the start.
And your brain at the time is, I'm all in. Let's do this. You've worked your butt off 6-7 years.
We shot, and then for someone to come along and tell you if you don't win this fight, you're not getting your black belt. It was just like being shot in the head.
Yeah. Oh, good one. And after your Shodan, you obviously continue on, and then Shihan Billy reminds us often when the Shihans of today, when they got their Shodan, were all encouraged to open the dojo. Were you encouraged at that time, or were you still just training? And I'm assuming you would have started your studying and your professional career as well at that time.
That's right. Yeah. I went into the Victoria Police Force at 22.
Yeah.
By then I was already knee done anyway.
Okay.
But before I went into the police force, I opened the Geelong West Dojo in Packington Street.
Yeah.
No internet back then. No mobile phones.
Yeah.
No nothing. And my only way of advertising was to grab a bit of cardboard and write my phone number and draw a picture of a kung fu on there and stick it on the back window of your car.
Wow. Yeah.
It, you know. I announced that when I opened the dojo, Shihan Gary Vickers wanted me to open the dojo, and when I opened the dojo, I announced it would open on a particular date, and if nobody came to training, I'd train by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And first day of training at the dojo, nobody came, so I trained by myself. So I sent the message around Geelong again. I said it was training on next week, and if nobody turns up, I'm going to train by myself. About 2 or 3 weeks later, someone came to training, and then somebody else, and another 2, and then they brought a friend, and it turned out to be a really strong dojo.
Unreal.
All of those blokes came out of the West Geelong dojo.
Who was that, Shihan? Sorry?
Nick Varka.
Okay, yeah.
Nick Varka was, what was he? 3 times Australian lightweight champion, 2 times runner-up. So yeah, he was no mug when he put him out on the mat.
Was he? So to be clear, I've met Mick through Shihan Billy, lovely man, and he was your student, like as such. Did you groom him from a certain belt?
He came from Rory Street as well, but I was I think by the time he started training, I was either first kyu or second kyu.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right. So then the dojo is firing away there, and then it's starting to produce some tough lads. We're talking now late 70s, I assume, or early 80s.
Yeah. And back then, there was no such word as sparring. It wasn't sparring, and we didn't have any padding. When it came to, we did kumite every night at the end of every session, and when it was kumite time, it was full on. Yeah. Went for it.
Was there face punching? I guess that's the question that gets brought up every now and again back in that.
No, we didn't do face punching. We stuck to the Kyokushin rules.
Yeah.
But it was full on. Like there was get on Mashigiri came through as hard as it possibly could, and you gave it back, and the punches around the ribs and so on like that. And
yeah.
West Geelong Dojo was funny because they had a piano in it down in the corner, and what we used to do before sparring was open the piano, and it was a competition to see if you could get your opponent to sit on there and play.
Very good, very good. So you in that time, had you had an opportunity to head to Japan, because that would have been it would have been very difficult, right? And
I sort of fell into as far as going to training to Japan and to get to train with Sensei Yama, I was in the wrong era by a little bit because, as I said, when I joined the police force, well, that put the brakes on that sort of stuff pretty quick. Of course, you're up in Melbourne at the police academy, and then you're out at training stations, and then moving around all over the place. So I actually, by that time, had handed the dojo over to Mick Varka to continue on with the West Geelong dojo.
Okay.
Then I got married.
Yeah.
Of course. And things like that, and money wasn't back then and stuff. So I just sort of, I met Sensei Yama several times, but I never got to train with him back in that period of time because it just didn't suit my lifestyle. It was impossible.
Yeah.
That's one of the regrets of everyone would have, like, not to be able to train with Sensei. But there's been a lot of highlights along the way as well.
No, and that's what we're going to tap into. So. And I guess the floor's a bit yours on this merit, in your 50th year, I guess if I gave you the next 10 minutes to just bring up, a couple of cracker stories or cracker memories or something that a lot of us may not have ever heard or have, you're a fantastic coach to many and you were side by side with, Sensei Sam Greco, and there's multiple things I'm sure you can share with us and go for it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of highlights, Patrick. I'd say, if we to go back from the start, I'd say one of the biggest highlights was walking into the dojo the first night. Because that's why I got to do all the others.
Yeah.
Along the way, as you said there, I think one of the things that I like the most to see is my students progressing and achieving their goals and, pushing through the ranks, becoming black belts, entering tournaments of whatever sort of tournaments they want to do, having success there. As you said, having coached a few people to national level champions, Australian champions, both male and female.
Yeah.
They were highlights. one of the females is actually my wife, Rocky.
Right. Okay.
Rocky, yeah. She was Australian full contact champion, finished up representing Australia at the World Cup in Sydney in 2006.
Okay.
The other girl, Narelle Lovell, was invited to Japan to put on an exhibition full contact fight over there before the ladies full contact tournaments really got going. And so she was a bit of a pioneer there herself. So that was another highlight. Training with the likes of being Sam Greco's coach was a highlight.
How did that come about, and how long was that for, and what was the, I guess, the ecosystem around all of that?
How it came about was, I think it was Sam's second national tournament, because he won five times heavyweight champion in Australia. On his second national tournament, in the final, I was the referee.
Okay.
And I walked out onto the mat there, and Sam came out, and because the place is going off, so I want to watch, Greco and everybody else fight. And just at the start of the fight, I walked over to Sam and I said, "It's time to go to work, Sam." And the look in his eyes when I said it to him, because he didn't really know me very well.
Sure.
I think he was just struck,
Right.
I think it's like flicking the switch for him. And then about a week later, I was at home and in Geelong. Sam's a Melbourne guy, and there was a knock at the front door. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I opened the door and Sam Greco was standing there. And I was sort of thinking, like, how did he even know where I lived?
Sure.
Never mind come down and knock on the door and then unannounced. And I'm thinking, like, what's going on? And he said, "Can I talk to you for a couple of minutes?" And I said, "Yeah, no problems, mate. Come in." So he walked in. We're standing in the lounge room, and he said, "I'll be honest with you, and I'll tell you straight up front." He said, "I want you to be my coach."
Mm.
And that was a bit of a slap in the face for me, because I totally wasn't ready for that.
What year was that? Do you remember that, Shihan? What year?
Early 90s.
Okay, so 91 was the world tournament. 87 and 91. So I'm just getting perspective there. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right. And I thought, well, because I think pretty quick, and it flashed through my head that if he's taken it upon himself to drive Melbourne down to Geelong unannounced and without any, previous discussion about it, to ask me to be his coach, he obviously saw something there that would benefit his career.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided, as soon as he said it, I thought to myself, yes, I will. But I'm going to be straight up front, and I'm going to tell him what I want from him as far as training goes. And I told him straight up, I said, "Mate, you come to me to train him. I'll be your coach and we'll do the training, but this is going to be very, very difficult."
What were you making? So what were you making it difficult? I mean, because it's structured, you would have structured something. Can you share a little bit on that?
Well, the thing, once I become Sam's coach, most of the senior grades, of course, asked me who was going to get to fight him in training. I said, "I don't need anyone to fight him in training." So he's already been Australian champion twice. He said, "I know he can fight. I know he's strong. I know he's big. He's quick. He's fit. He's keen. He's angry. He's got all the elements that you want in a fighter." I said, "What I need to do with Sam, I don't want anybody to fight him. What I want to do is refine his brain and refine his technique."
Right.
And that was the major things that we worked on for a very long time. There were quite a few. Sam used to like, for example, the jumping, spinning back kick.
Mm-hmm.
But I never saw him get any close to anyone with it. He always finish up on his butt on the ground.
Right.
And I said to him, "Mate," I said, "that's got to go." I said, "A, you're burning way too much energy trying to do the technique.
Mm-hmm.
You're burning way too much energy because you've got to stand up off the floor." I said, "And every person in the building, including all the judges and the referees, sees your opponent standing over the top of you." I said, "You never ever do the jumping, spinning back kick at the end.
Gotcha.
One out of your repertoire. We're going to work on the keep it simple things."
Yeah.
And we did really keep it simple. some of the techniques that I wanted him to try, he told me straight up front he didn't like it. Said, no worries, they're gone. I'm not even going to consider it. Some of the ones that I wanted him to do, he couldn't actually do them. But he was a dream to train with, because he couldn't do it today. You could bet your butt you go back and train the next day or the next week, and he'd say, what's this? And he'd do it. He'd work and work and work, and he'd have it down pat. He was just a champion bloke to train with.
Very good. And you were a part of the transition from him when Kyokushin and then Seido and then to K1. Did you have did you get to explore that angle?
K1 15, yeah. That was early in the bit, and that even we accelerated the training harder then.
Yeah.
You know? And Sam, I don't think he really knew just how good he could be at that stage. But I could see it in him.
Yeah.
Knew where he was going, you know. And I said to him one day, I said, Sam, I can see, once we started talking about K1s and stuff in particular, now we're going right up the international scene.
Yeah, best of the best in the world, you know.
Yeah, that's right. And back then, the K1s were just all top level stand-up fighters. They were guns, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said to him one day, I said, Sam, I can see where you're heading in your career. I said, but what you need to think about is other people around you. I said, say, for example, if somebody comes to say hello, make sure you say hello. Right. Give them a couple of minutes of your time. If they ask you to sign an autograph, sign it for them. If, in particular, kids, because we all know kids are the future, kids will admire you. When they come and speak to you, make sure you give the kids a couple of minutes of your time. And he did that through his entire career. And that took him a long way as well. And when you talk about highlights of the K1s, one in particular springs up, apart from all the hullabaloo of it all, because they were huge.
Of course.
You talk about 5,000 people lined up in the street for 3 or 4 hours to get into the venue. You know, the venue would hold 20,000. This particular night in Osaka, sitting in the hotel room, about the 26th or the 28th floor, and I was looking out the window, admiring the view and thinking how lucky I was. And I thought, you know what? I must be blessed to be sitting here in this room, because right there across the table is Sam Greco, Michael Thompson from England, and Andy Hug.
Wow.
I'm sitting here in the same room with these blokes talking about karate. The bloke had blessed. So that was definitely one of the highlights of the career, sitting there talking with those blokes. Yeah,
that's great. That's a cool. I can visualize that. Just a mean men, but such gentlemen as well, if that makes sense.
Well, they all were. They're all the same. Michael Thompson was the nicest bloke you could ever meet.
Sure.
Andy Hug was a really nice bloke. Every time I go to Ikebukuro, where Resides Dojo originally was, I remember the first time I met Andy. It was pre-tournament time, and I was just walking through Ikebukuro, and I saw him standing there leaning on the lamppost on the other side of the road. I thought, you know what, I'm going to go over there and say, awesome, go to him. You know, I didn't know if he spoke English or not. So every time I go there now, I get a photo taken of me leaning on the same lamppost.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Very clever.
Really like,
yeah. Oh, that's cool. So yeah, that would have been an amazing, I guess, experience for yourself. I mean, you were probably one of, no disrespect to anyone else out there, but yeah, you were probably the one that had that insight to that level of K1 and training, you know, one of the best fighters in the world. And having, you know, that, and still holding the Kyokushin. So you were still the Kyokushin student, you always have been, and but you also had your side of helping Sam.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And it was an interesting thing too, because of the K1 being led by Kanto Ishii from Seido Kaikan. We trained in the Seido Kaikan dojos, because that was where we had to train pre-tournament for the K1. You know, and that was interesting in itself, because you see all the Japanese fighters preparing and the American fighters and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, they were good times as well.
Yeah, the respect that they all had for each other, you know, in hearing, and I've been fortunate to talk to Sam, and I'd love to get him on. Sam, please let me, you know, have a chat with you as well. But in respect to that, Shihan, they all respected each other, and they all, you know, just got it done, just business minded, in respect of like, hey, this is it. You know, there was big prize money. It was transitioning the whole game, wasn't it?
I couldn't believe my eyes. The first K1 we went to, and a bloke walked out with $100,000 American sitting on a silver tray, brand new notes in numbered up to 100,000. And they set him up on the stage there, and it was just like he's dreaming. Look at 100 grand American. Whoever wins this tournament is going to walk away with that silver tray.
Yeah.
Mind blown. It was big time stuff.
Oh, that's a nice one too. Yeah, 100K just sitting there, but in the early 90s or mid 90s, that's nearly it's $1 million. It's probably $1 million prize money today.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah. Shihan, you've ventured then to Japan, and you would have, you know, started, getting the experience around, you know, traveling and then being a part. You're probably then third or fourth Dan, I would assume, from there, correct?
I was a Sundan at that time, and we're at the Sato Kyokushin Dojo one day, and Kancho Ishii called me into his office. He said, I want you to go back to Australia and introduce Sato Kyokushin to Australia. And he said, I'll give you your fifth Dan. And I just said no.
Yeah.
Because I thought, like, I worked and trained that hard to get to where I was then.
Sure.
I thought, like, how could I walk back into Australia and talk to my other friends and senior grades and say, look, I'm a fifth Dan Sato Kyokushin? Surely they would have laughed in my face. I wouldn't have taken myself seriously.
Yeah,
so, I said, look, I really appreciate it, but I just can't do it. You know.
Well, there you go.
I'm never going to mention Kyokushin Karate.
No. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, for those that aren't familiar, you know, look up, you know, the Sato side of things, and they, you know, it's a break off of Kyokushin, but you know, legitimate organisation in respect of how they took that level of a sport aspect, the sport angle. You know, Kyokushin has that Budo, you know, ethos, and Sato has had a bit of both.
Yeah, for sure. But it was all, you know, it was all aimed around K1 and the big money back then.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, I suppose it is now too, but I don't have much contact with K1.
So you had a beautiful, you know, as you said, a dream experience there, and I appreciate you sharing those little stories, because that's great to get some perspective on, and then once that I guess kind of started to drift off or drift away, you know, with Sam, I guess being your prime asset in that angle, what did you start putting your energy towards then? I mean, you're a professional law enforcement officer. You would have been, you know, being promoted in that angle as well. So how were you maintaining, you know, that block of years?
It was pretty difficult, actually, because you're trying to train as much as you can. You're trying to go to and help with all the tournaments. I'm doing shift work, obviously, as a policeman. I was doing night shifts, an afternoon shift, or 2 to 10 at night, and then back in the office at 6 o'clock in the morning. And as I came through there, I did all sorts of duties. I worked with the detectives. I worked in task forces, special duty squads, all sorts of stuff. It wasn't unusual to start at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
If you go through drug raids and stuff like that. So to make it to the dojo as much as you could in your earlier days was a struggle, particularly years later up the track into the late 80s, where I went into an area of the Victoria Police that was dealt with VIP, close personal protection, and witness protection. So actually I was a police bodyguard, basically.
Sure.
And they were very difficult because I was quite often away from home for a week at a time.
Yes.
Make it to the dojo every single week, as you had normally done for years, was impossible during that few years. But it was just a matter of getting there as much as possible and whenever possible, and then just pushing through. You just keep going. That's all there is to it.
Well, you said it very humbly there, I must admit, because I have experience with, Billy's in law enforcement. We've got a lot of friends in law enforcement, and it is very difficult. And with all respect, I appreciate, all the things that you would have done in your past to uphold, the community. Did you serve around the Geelong area, or were you?
I started off in Geelong. Went back to Melbourne. Back in those days, you went to a training station, they call it. It was 3 months. So my first 3 months was Geelong. Then after that, I went back to the old Russell Street Police Complex.
Okay.
Was there for about 6 months, I think, and I got a posting out to Kingsville in West Footscray.
Mm-hmm.
Made my way back to the old Norlane Police Station. Back then was when I'd started to get a few years of experience under the belt, and things were running pretty well. And that's when things started to change, and I started to do all sorts of other duties outside of the uniform branch. And
yes,
it was quite good working in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt compared to a uniform.
Yeah,
but, it's uniform blokes or anything like that. But when you start to get that feeling that you're getting recognised for the work you've done in the past, and you're getting promoted, and you're getting these special jobs and stuff like that, there was good fun. It was dangerous, but it was good fun.
How many years did you? I'm leading to something here with the, I guess, commitment and the perseverance. So, how many years did you work in law enforcement?
23 and a half years I was in the Victoria Police Force.
Okay.
Yes, all up there.
Yeah, that's cool. So that was a recognition or a service achievement?
They're doing a long service leave and for being a good boy, we call it. 20 years in the job for being a good boy, and
sure.
The badges and my police identification up there, and then the certificate of the years that you're in the force.
Okay, so what I'm alluding to here is, a 50-year commitment in a certain martial art discipline that has, commitments from all angles, and then your professional career, nearly 25 years, in absolute consistency and discipline. And what was it? What is it that drove you then that you would instill to, I guess, others back then? Others meaning students and people and community. And I gesture it because I wanted to get you, on this a little bit as well, because of you've seen a lot, and what we're all going through today in COVID and so forth. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are in a couple of angles there.
I think basically it gets down to it's very easy. It's the never give up attitude.
Mm.
The desire, I say to people that to do karate and to be successful in what you want to do, whether it be at red belt level or fifth dan level or whatever it is, the things you need first is desire. If you don't have the desire, you're wasting your time and you're wasting everyone else's time around you.
Mm-hmm.
The next one's the determination, and my view of that is the never give up attitude, and don't let anything get in the way of your goals. Whatever goal it is that you set, whether it be by time constraints or illness or injury, that goal has to be achieved. And then it's the persistence, and my version of persistence is the ability to be able to do the same or similar thing over and over and over and over again, and properly, until you can get to the goal that you want to get to. Those three things are the things that drive me. I'm very self-critical of myself, obviously in training, in my life basically, but
sure.
Particularly once I pull the gi on, and as soon as I tell somebody else to do something or not to do something, I immediately check myself to make sure that I'm setting the example for them to follow. So yeah, it's just that never give up attitude and the desire. Just never going to stop.
Yeah, that's impressive. Got to be honest, that's very impressive, because they are words. I've written a blog about this. They're words, but when they're not instilled, or when you're not taking action to them, they can be all talk, no show. And I guess the angle that Kyokushin gave me at a young age was you have an opportunity to prove it. You have a chance to prove yourself. There's no proof without the fighting side, for example. There's no proof and there's a lot out there that may be listening that when we currently Shihan Ritchie's currently doing online training with his dojo. He's had to adapt, evolve to what's going on, and currently everyone is going to go through ups and downs. And there's some key words that I wanted you to share, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Go for it.
The situation that we're all in at the moment, Patrick, is I liken it to the American Marines, where they say they're saying is improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's what we have to do in the present stage that we're in at the moment. We can't go to the dojo and training. We have to improvise.
Yeah.
We have to adapt to what we're going to do until we can get back to a training eventually. And that is, if we do that, then we've overcome.
I was thinking about it earlier before we came on, in raising some things with you, because you've seen so many generations as such, and there's and because you're on the Geelong side, which is again it's only an hour away from Melbourne. But what I'm getting at is a lot of us Kyokushin. There's so many masters, so many good people, so many people with so much knowledge, right? And now. Or we're all putting, or a lot of people have been fantastic in putting stuff up online, or sharing their thoughts and sharing their passion and their views and their experience. 5 years ago, or more for yourself, for example, there was to show someone else from another dojo something was forbidden. Forbidden. I don't know what the right word is, but it was very just but now I think it's how do you see it now? There's no mystique to this now, right? It's out there. We all got to get fit. We all got to get healthy. Kyokushin is the platform we have, and then you've got Shihan Ritchie, Shihan Cameron, Shihan Jimmy Phillips. You've got all these people putting so much energy into online at the minute because of what's just happened. If this had not happened, I doubt any of this would have been happening. Would you have been doing this?
Absolutely, yeah. And when you talk about years ago where things might have been taboo to show people things from other dojos and stuff like that, I maintain that what we really need to remember in Kyokushin history is that Kyokushin Karate is not ours. It's Sensei Oyama's.
Right.
And outside of that, as I always tell my students, Kyokushin Karate is not a secret. Sensei Oyama put Kyokushin Karate out there internationally for everybody to learn.
Yes.
So everybody learns. And I hold no secrets from anybody about Kyokushin Karate or anything to do with their life or their training. If they ask me, I'll tell them.
I guess it's the secret is it's more the it's more the visual now. Everyone is great in talking to each other and shaking hands and sharing stories, but then it was now it's in, you're on social media, you will get someone training somewhere now. It's fantastic. It's great. I've learned so much already just seeing one of your posts, for example, in gesturing how you're gesturing how you're going and how you're feeling, and I'm like, oh, that's great. Great to hear from someone like yourself. That's how I see it from a 39-year-old lad.
Yeah, a young fella.
Shihan, you progressed towards your Shihan status. What an achievement that would have been for you. And did you complete that here in Australia? Did you go overseas? Walk us through a bit of that angle in preparing, and I guess how that came about to get that fifth Dan. And you are 6 now, but at that time.
Yeah, it's funny, really. We talked about the first night of training and then suddenly being 50 years later. But I can remember the first time I saw a sundan, third dan, was about a 10 centimetre square photo of an American bloke doing kata in a magazine. Because I've seen the third dan. And I used to sit there in my room just looking at that photo and just like to think, give it up, you're doing something like Senchin kata or something. I was just blown away to think that there's people out there that had third dans. Yeah. And then years up, all of a sudden you're doing your third dan grading. And you think, well, I've achieved what I saw in the book in my room when I was a kid. And and you keep training, and next thing it's from one grading to the next. And I did my 5th Dan grading in Sydney after the international, after the World Cup with Kancho Matsushima.
Okay.
And Taylor ran the grading in Bondi Junction Dojo. And then, as we said, the 6th Dan grading was in Okinawa in January of 2017.
Yes.
And yeah, they're just like interesting circumstances. You go from one thing to another, and you just, you surpass your original goals.
Right.
But everybody has to have a carrot in front of them to keep going, that desire type thing, So you just keep training and just keep working and pushing forward. There's no looking back. The only time you look back is to admire what you achieved.
Right. And so you how did you prepared, meaning, at your age, with your experience, what continued you, to refine? Are you someone that's like, hey, I'm still big on the basics, I'm still big in keeping fit, I love your kata? What were you,
Well, it's funny you said that, because when I did 5th Dan grading, I had a hip operation early in the year, and the tournament and the grading was in Sydney in the November, and I was sitting there talking to my surgeon in his office one day, and I was talking about the grading, and he said, "You'll never be able to do it." And I looked at him in the eyes, and I was just sitting there thinking, "You have no idea who you're talking to." And I walked out of the office that day, and we did the operation, and I just went into recovery for the period of time, the weeks and so on like that. And to be perfectly honest, and without being silly, on the night of the 5th Dan grading, I had to be one of the fittest blokes in the room. We did an hour and a half of stamina before the grading, which included all sorts of crazy stuff, and weights and push-ups and sit-ups and squats and carrying people from this side of the dojo. And there was guys a lot younger than me laying on the floor.
Yeah, right.
Because from all over the place, and I was telling them, get up, stand up, don't let him do it to you. Stand up, be strong,
Oh.
So it all just gets into the power of the mind, and it was definitely my doctor that fired me when he said to me that I was doing my 5th Dan grading. I thought, no way, mate. Nothing's going to stop me from doing that.
Well, that's cool that you shared that, because I've had a couple of chats with others, and I've said that what sparks you, or what is it? Because some people are looking for something, or like hearing a story like this, and yeah, it took you the surgeon. You could have washed him on the spot there, I could imagine. But you maintained yourself. But well done there. Yeah, that would have been 1.5 hours of just stamina at the start.
It was before we even did 2 months. Before the start of the grading, it was harrowing. It's just, at what stage we actually start doing karate?
I laugh with respect. I don't laugh. I would have loved to. I would have loved to have been, seen that, just an hour. Because for those watching or listening, you do half an hour with your Sensei Shihan, and then you're like, okay, we're done now. This will finish in a second, and then it just keeps going and going, and then you're looking at the clock, and you're like, shit, is that an hour? No, they'll be done now. No.
Well, I suppose like everybody else in the room on that night, I was like everybody else. I went through all the emotions. I went through the emotion of a bit of a shock at the start, and we were going to do that when they told us. They didn't tell us it was going to be an hour and a half. They just said we're going to do stamina. So not knowing how long that was going to go for, I went through the emotion of being concerned, through the emotion of being angry about it, to the emotion of wondering just how long is it going to go for, and getting more worried about it and so on like that, to a point where I just decided, well, if that's what they want us to do, they're going to keep pushing us to do it, I'm just going to keep doing it. It's as simple as that. And I assume many of the others are in the same feeling, otherwise they wouldn't have made it through as well, So.
Well, I guess you had something tapping you on the shoulder saying, "You hip." Very good. That's cool.
I like that. Yeah.
So, Shihan, we've got about 10 or so minutes there, so which has been great so far. From your again, I theme a couple of things on past, present, and future. from the present side, before we jump into the future side, present side, you have got your 6 now. You've got more time on your hands as such, right? So how have you adjusted yourself on that side?
Because of COVID, you're talking about, Patrick? Or?
Well, no, sorry. Your time, being so busy with your profession and so forth, and then you would have got to that 5th, 6th Dan from 2017. So what are we, 2020? So the last 6 years, or so, you would have had more time, and we've seen each other at tournaments and things. I say that with respect of like, people have a bit more time and a bit more energy going towards. I know Shihan Billy, for example, is busting his bum working overseas, so then when he comes back, he can commit and put everything into Kyokushin.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I'm not sort of the bloke that sits around to do nothing. There's always something to do. Because of my dojos, or the dojo group, the A.J.K.U group, is it's pretty big now, and it ranges from Anglesey to Torquay to Belmont to Geelong YMCA, Bannockburn YMCA, 2 dojos in Mount Gambier,
right.
one in Port Macquarie. They're all within the A.J.K.U group.
Great.
So the karate side of things in itself, organising wise and admin, is ongoing. Just never stops. It's either one instructor or the other contacting me saying, we want to do this. Can we do that? Is it good? Do you think that's good? Or we shouldn't do that? Or yes, you can do that. Or I don't know. I don't think you should do that.
Should this student learn this kata and not learn this kata?
Right. Should this student do this grading?
Yeah.
All the usual questions and stuff like that. Well, when I get questions like that from those instructors, I just hit the ball straight back at them. I'll say, look, they're your student. You see them more than me. You tell me if you think they're ready to grade.
Sure.
So that side of karate is always busy. And then you've got the training side of it. I train sometimes up to 5 times a week.
Yes.
So there's always something to do, and I ping around to those dojos. I shoot over to South Australia, Mount Gambier, a few times a year, and I'll be doing the same at Port Macquarie a few times a year for training. Because I see, Australia, Japan, Kyokushin, the A.J.K.U thing. It's fine for the instructors, but their students know they're within that group, but they think, who is this leader of the group, the Shihan Ritchie bloke?
Yeah.
So I see it as a very necessary thing to try and attend each dojo as much as I can through the year to make contact with the students, the new students, and so on like that. Promoting their karate, you're promoting their instructors and their dojos, and everything, just keep everything going.
Very good. No, very good, because that again, that angle is more administrative, but it is also a wise head as such to understand how to continue the growth, which is a segue now for future. So your, I guess, ambition with what you've done in 50 years is what now? Like share with us, I guess, not to put you on the spot, but I guess there is. You can answer it in as many ways as you want, but is it a drive now? Is it the growth of Kyokushin? Is it new teachings, I guess, as such, with the way everything's evolving in martial arts today? So what gives you more of the what's
I've
the head now?
I've just lost you off the sound there, Patrick.
Oh, that's okay. Can you hear me?
I've lost your sound at the moment, Patrick.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I can edit things, so don't no sweat if anything else happens. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Did you catch what I said?
Yep.
Yeah.
You're talking about where we see.
Yeah, I guess for your sake, 50 years being involved in martial arts, and now what's giving you the next X amount of years, and what are you doing? How do you want to see it out there?
Well, I would say the first thing we need to do now is get over this the virus thing. That's affected all of us in training big time. The first thing we've got to do is get over that. That's why we're doing the online training and so on. I say it's absolutely essential that we keep in contact with everybody, that they see us as instructors, that we are keen to try and look after them and do as much as we can for them. That is to ensure that try and get them all back into the dojo, because as I said to them, the group I work with today, I said, when you look back, you've all worked too hard to achieve what you have now. Why would you let it slide away? So I said, keep training, keep in contact, keep doing your stuff. Make sure that we look forward to getting back to the dojo at some particular stage. And after that, I just continue on as I have normal up until pre-COVID. And I'm just going to keep training and keep pushing and keep promoting and keep working in Kyokushin Karate. And I've announced, years ago that if it gets to a stage in my life where physically I can't train anymore and I teach karate sitting on a chair, then that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
I'm here for the long
No. It's cool. It's good. That's great to hear. It motivates guys like me, for example. To see that and to see it again. I see it from a social media angle, but it still motivates guys like me, and I'm sure it motivates others out there. And what you're doing has been great. Your 50 years has had like I say to some others, we could talk for 3 hours here, but we're just catching a highlight as best I can. I love doing this because it's something that's been missing. I felt it was missing from me. Like I was like, geez, had a great chat with Shihan Ritchie or Sensei Dojos the other day, and then I'm telling the story to someone else, and then I'm kind of like, oh, he actually trained, or he was a coach for X and Y, and it's like, no, it's time to catch this. So I appreciate your time in having a chat with us about it. From here, Shihan, you I guess what I'm alluding to is what is, I guess, the angle of motivation and drive and mentorship. Is there someone that you have, that is it a book? Is it something that someone you listen to, or is it just someone internally? What do you normally tell your students across your whole branches and so forth, and your senseis and Shihan? What are you telling others, especially at this time while we're all sitting, sitting at home or have a bit of extra time on our hands? Is there something or someone that you like to tell the others out there to watch online, or could be anything? I'm just trying to see what you've got.
No, not really. I don't think so. I think just going into Kyokushin Karate is such a young life. To this day, to be perfectly honest, I don't even know why I wanted to train, because I'd never seen karate before. I'd only just heard about it. But it was just something that was in my head and said, that's the way I want to go in life. And I went down that path. So, obviously with 50 years experience now and all of the experiences and highlights along the way and so on like that, I would like to see the younger people training get to do the same experiences. So that sort of motivates me to train with them and help them out as much as I can. And like I said before, get them to achieve all their goals and all that sort of thing. And you really enjoy their Kyokushin Karate, study the history of Kyokushin Karate. Yeah. Never forget that. And it's just that my own personal motivation is just to keep going. That's all there is to it.
Very good. Shihan, fantastic. We appreciate it. Congratulations again. Well done on what you're doing in the community of Geelong. It motivates, again, people like me to just keep going. Great to hear some of your insight as well. So we appreciate your time.
No problems, Patrick. I mean, you're a good karate player too, mate. So you just keep going. And you know what to do. I think I said to you last time we flashed to the tournament. You know what to do. Just keep doing it.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Doing this Kyokushin stuff together, mate.
Good on you, Shihan. Thank you so much for your time. And stay safe over there.
Awesome. You too.
Awesome.
Thanks, mate. Awesome. Bye-bye.